The room is filling up. So here we are at the reception and the greeting for Cindy Sheehan.
That's why I named my book that,
who's on
because I
a
wanted
bike
it to be
tour
controversial, and I wanted
peace
to retake the phrase
in the Coachella Valley. Actually, she's biking across the country all the way to
the Occupy
Washington.
movement.
I'd like to introduce Bob Ballard, who's going to be our first musician. Bob has performed at Occupy New York, Wall Street, and Occupy Washington, D.C. He lives in Dover Hot Springs. Let's give him an round of applause. Bob Ballard.
Secrets hide the thoughts of those who lie, the burning light of day will turn them into clay. Say it loud, speak it clear, the voice of freedom, the end of set us free. Our eyes can finally see. Reach out and join our hands and walk across our land. Say it loud, speak it clear. The voice of freedom, the end of it's really easy. We all want to be free, right? Say it loud, speak it clear, the voice of freedom, end of you guys are doing good.
right? Yeah. I'm not that much older.
Set us free.
Only,
A world of
we're
love.
Irish twins. Oh yeah? Only 11 months apart. I'm 12 months away. That's love. Yeah.
She's turning all that seems to dust.
I love him.
All night long.
Just like we have been doing. What?
All night long. All night long. All night long. We've been waiting all night long. We've been waiting all night long. All night long. All night
Please welcome Cindy Sheehan.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom and Carolyn and the committee and everybody who worked together. The food was awesome. And the space was awesome. Somebody told me that this is the most diverse gathering of people that have been here together in a long time. And one of the things we do when we roll into a town and is it causes a lot of people to get together or reconnect to put on this amazing event. So thank you for the musicians. We met Finn earlier at the park. Bob's one of my Facebook friends, so one of my like 15,000 Facebook friends. So it's really good to be here. And finally, to get back to Palm Springs. I was on my way here, and I actually had to leave the airplane and check into a hotel. I was so sick. So that was a long time ago, though. I don't even remember what was wrong with me. So,
Food poisoning.
oh, okay.
Eat on the airport.
Okay. Probably got it on the plane. So, I want to introduce the people on my tour, too. This is my sister, Dee Dee Miller. She's like one of the main organizers, and she helps us to get from point A to point B almost every day. So, yeah.
No, every day.
Oh, yeah, I guess we have a pretty good record of that so far.
I'm a professional cat herder now.
Yeah. This is John Gold. I'm one of the drivers and navigators and picture takers, and he's actually mostly a 9/11 truth activist. This is my Palm Springs mom and dad, Ryan and Lexi. Our mom and dad. They have 6 new kids. This is Ron back here. Yay. He's ridden every turn of the bike with me, and he'd probably go farther if he could, but we're kind of holding him back. He's a bicycle mechanic, a peace activist. He's ridden back and forth across this country several times for peace, and he's the founder of Bikes for Peace. And Malcolm Shattuck from Portland, Oregon. I must say, Dee Dee's from Bellflower, California. I'm from Vacaville, California. John's from near Philadelphia. Ron's from Chico. Malcolm's from Portland. So we gathered quite a motley crew. But where's Dan? We have another guy. Malcolm does a lot of. He does a lot of reporting. reporting on the nuclear crisis, especially from Fukushima. And up in the Pacific Northwest, of course, got contamination from Fukushima, so he measures radiation levels and keeps us posted about the ongoing crisis that hasn't stopped. And he's also a member of Veterans for Peace. And that's our core team. We've had people move in and out, bike with us, and just a little ways, or from one city. Yesterday or Sunday, we started in Arlington West in Santa Monica, because that's where Route 66 starts. So we're mostly taking Route 66 between here and Chicago, and we rode downtown, about 20 miles downtown. And then we kind of cheated and got in cars and went to, where did we go, San Dimas or something like that? And then we rode another long way to our event. So anyway, we are cheating going north and south because our trip is east and west. And we think we could have flown down here, just started our tour or whatever. But it's been really important to go back and to come down the state. And we stopped in Sacramento, we stopped in Fresno, we stopped in Santa Monica, Rancho Cucamonga, Claremont, and now Palm Springs. Yay! And tomorrow will be 29 Palms with Nikki. So yay. It's been really important because we've been able to reach a lot of people, talk to a lot of people. Last weekend in Fresno, we had a drone protest in solidarity with the ones that were happening in San Diego. But we've also been able to raise money for the trip. Because there's going to be times when we're going from, the California border up to Chicago, we're going to go days without a stop. But we do have some major stops along the way. So the money and the goodwill we've been able to create here in California will help us through those places. And another important thing is, this is Kevin Aiken. He's the chairman of my party, the state chairman of my party, the Peace and Freedom Party. And when I get back from this trip, we're going to kick off my campaign to run for governor of the state of California. I'll be coming back for that. Okay, I might even be riding my bike. I'm getting as irritated with being in cars as my bike partner Ron is. I don't own a car. I sold my car about 8 years ago. Yeah, I had to verify with she's my fact checker. That's right? No, it hasn't been that long ago. 6 years ago, maybe. I was really starting to become very conflicted and having internal conflicts. I can't have internal conflicts. And I try to live my life as authentically and as close to what I believe in as I can. And so I sold my car, and since then I've either been walking, riding my bike, or taking public transportation. In California, it's super hard to do. When I first, sold my car, I was living in San Francisco, not as hard. But when you get out to the boonies, it gets a little harder not to have a car. You have to be really creative. And one of our demands on Tour de Peace, of course, is this country needs to eliminate its dependence on fossil fuels. Any fossil fuel. One time when I was running against Nancy, I did run against Nancy Pelosi in 2008. I came in second, so we thought we did really well. And she was on a news program. I think it was Tom Brokaw said, Nancy, Oh, he didn't call her Nancy. It's more like Speaker Pelosi or something like that. I always just call her Nancy. Speaker Pelosi, we just found out that you and your family are heavily invested with T. Boone Pickens, the natural gas guy, the fracking guy. And she said, well, we believe, this is what she said, we believe that this country needs to eliminate its dependence on fossil fuels. But, I'm sorry! Natural gas is a fossil fuel, and so, I lost. I can't figure it out, except I didn't have the money that she has. So that's what one of our demands. You know, we have the technology today to invest in renewable, sustainable, clean forms of energy. If we would stop giving the oil companies tax breaks and other incentives, we could invest in these forms of energy. Because the planet will go on. It's life on the planet that is compromised. And the life of these people who are profiting off of these wars and off of the fossil fuel economy, their kids and grandkids they live on the same planet, right? So that's one of our demands. That's one of the reasons that, you know, we are riding our bikes. And we have a support vehicle, you know, but most of us are riding our bikes across, I can't believe I'm doing that. Riding my bike across America. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. But so far, we've had the most fabulous time. You know, we left on April 4th. Today's the 9th, correct? Would be my dad's birthday today, as a matter of fact. And we just had the most fun. You know, Tom said it was fun at Camp Casey. It was a lot of fun at Camp Casey. We did a lot of good. But this is going to be like 90 Camp Caseys. You know, because we're taking 90 days to get to Washington, D.C. And I don't know about any of the other people on the tour, but I'm having a blast. So, I really needed it. I was getting so frustrated, and my motivation for continuing doing this activism is so hard. It's so hard to do with very few volunteers, small crowds, little money. It's been harder to be an activist since Obama's been president than it was when Bush was president. I actually voted for myself because I was running for vice president. I didn't really vote for my running mate, but I voted for myself. And that's another book that's coming out soon. And so, I'm going to take my shoes off. What was I saying? Oh, if it was Romney or McCain as president and they were doing the same things that Obama's doing, I think we'd have hundreds of people riding across America with us, not just a handful. You know, and one of the things that we are talking about the most is that we need to have our activism based on our own principles. Right, not the principles of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I agree 1,000% with my party's platform, but politics is just a small part of what we should be doing to change this country. You know, it's going to take people out in the streets saying that we don't care who's president, we don't care who's governor, we don't care who is mayor or whatever. Our agenda, not the agenda of the 1%, not the agenda of the war machine, not the agenda of the bankers. That's our agenda needs to be followed. And so until we do that, nothing is going to change. If we keep thinking against all evidence and history that every 4 or 8 years, if we just get the right person in office, that, you know, and it never has happened before, but, you know, just this time, maybe, just maybe, will be a nightmare too. But if we get the right person in, then we can just like take a break.
No.
We can take the next 4 years off. That, we're sure that our agenda will be at the forefront of that person's. And that's what keeps us oppressed. That's what keeps us in war. That's what keeps the money flowing to the 1%. That's what keeps the money flowing from the 1% to our politicians. Is us actually putting our activism on snooze. If we're a Democrat, we get a Democrat in, we're going to go on snooze for the next 4 or 8 years. And opposite. So I look back and I see since at least World War II, people always says, oh, the Democrats and Republicans. It hasn't always been the Democrats and Republicans. Like it always has to be the Democrats and Republicans. But if you look back, every 4 to 8 years, the party changes. The party of the president changes. The only time we've had continuity is between Reagan and Bush 1. And Bush 1 only had 1 term. So there's, the party changes, and I think for 4 to 8 years, half of us go on snooze, half of us protest. And then we get our person in, and it switches. So we keep being, screwed is a good word, but that's not what I was thinking. Duped is a good word, but that's not what I was thinking.
Left-right paradigm.
Sure, whatever. Just call out whatever word you like is your favorite word.
Fooled again.
Whatever's your favorite word, just call it out right now, because I forgot what I was trying to say. Catch-22.
Fooled again.
Fooled again. Yeah, not much has changed since that song came out. Betrayed. Betrayed.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure we're betrayed. Because, no, I don't think so. Because the agenda of the 1% is going to go forward. And until we realize that that's happening and put a stop to it, it's not like politicians always make promises they don't keep. But, Barack Obama told people, if they listen, that he was going to send more troops to Afghanistan. He told people that a nuclear option was not off the table for Iran. While he was senator, he voted for every war funding bill. He voted for the FISA Modernization Act. He voted in a very right-wing ways. So if we were paying attention, we wouldn't get betrayed. I ran against Nancy Pelosi, and she was telling us impeachment's off the table. And we were all like, well, first of all, it's not your table. And secondly, maybe she's just saying that to get elected. Right? Well, so I always say that a snake is going to be a snake. A politician is going to be a politician. A war profiteer is going to be a war profiteer. It's up to us to change ourselves and to change the way that we do activism, political activism. And nothing's going to change until we do that. I like this parable. This man is hiking, and he comes upon a snake, and the snake's tail is a rattlesnake. The snake's tail is stuck under a rock. And the rattlesnake is a talking rattlesnake. It has to be, or the story doesn't work. It's a talking rattlesnake. And he says, friend, brother, let me go. If you let me go, I promise I won't bite you. And the guy's like, oh, come on, you're a rattlesnake. And the guy's like, no, if you do me this favor, I won't bite you. And so he convinces the guy, he lets him out, so what does the snake do? Bites him right away. And the guy's like, you knew I was a snake when you let me go. So this is what we have to realize. I thought I was betrayed by the Democrats. The Democrats used the anti-war movement. They got back in power in 2007. took back the White House and the Senate in '08. And so I thought I was betrayed. I thought I got kicked to the curb. No, they were just being snakes. You know, so that's what we, you know, like the politicians, vote for the politicians, whatever. But you have to realize that it's up to us. People always say, hold Barack Obama's feet to the fire. I'm not even sure that that's a correct term. But it's up to us to create the mass movements for change. We have seen good change happen in this country. But it wasn't because the 1% wanted to change. It wasn't because the politicians wanted to change. It's because we forced them to change. And nothing, until we force them to change, nothing is going to happen for the better. So that's what we want to do. You know, back in '05, when I went to Crawford, just let's see, 16 months after my son was killed. It was in August of 2005. People were demoralized. People were frustrated. People were lacked direction. And when I went to Crawford, it energized some people, re-energized other people, and that's what we're trying to do today, is to build that mass movement for change. Do what we can locally. You know, local activism, I think, is far more important than going to washed up DC, I call it. If you've been on my website, you know I call it washed up DC. But that's why we're stopping in 90 communities, to try to bring people together. You know, this is a big country, and we might not change it from the top down, but I can guarantee you we can change it from the bottom up. And if, like, we have 50 governors who felt the same way I do, that people's needs are far more important than corporate greed, then, well, that would be a wonderful thing. You know, we could stop sending our troops to our National Guard to the wars. We could say, hey, you know, California has spent billions of dollars to DC for these wars. We need that money here. You know, we need to make university free and available for everybody. We need to be and healthcare a priority. Not to say, oh my God, we have a budget deficit, so we have to take more from the poor. You know, I was born and raised in California. When I went to school in California, it was good. You know, I went in the 60s and 70s, and university was free. It can be done. You know, and it's done all over the world. You know, it might be revolutionary here, but in other parts of the world, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, we want to go to school, we're going to go to school. We need to get our teeth fixed, we're going to go to the dentist. You know, so that's in the country that has the most resources available, and our state has a lot of resources available. People shouldn't be going hungry. They shouldn't be sick or dying because they don't have health care. They shouldn't have to go into hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in debt to get a college education. It's abominable. So these are the things that we have to be talking about. You know, not Obamacare, but Medicare for everybody. No one in, everybody in, no one out. You know, not low-interest student loans, free education, and forgive those student loans that the kids already have. You know, and so these are the conversations that we need to be having. You know, not the latest celebrity murder trial, you know, or whatever else the media wants us to talk about, but these conversations. And yes, equality, you know, marriage equality, whatever, you know, women's equality. We're still not equal under the law. Equality is super duper important. But we have to realize we're just a tiny percentage of the population. And people are being killed. And their countries are being destroyed. And their lives are being destroyed in other parts of the world. And that's what gets me about the lack of an anti-war movement. True, the drones might make it safer for our troops, but we were talking, we don't know the statistic, but for every one target, high-value target, 49, 50, and I've heard up to 100 civilians are being killed.
178 children so far.
I think it's way more than that.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so those are the conversations. Everybody has the same existential right as in the world as everybody in here does. And that's the conversation that we have to have. So, Tour de Peace, tourdepeace.org. We do have these really awesome t-shirts available on the website. We have sold all of our shirts down the state. They're very popular. They're selling like hotcakes. Like wearable hotcakes, you know, like cotton, 100% cotton wearable hotcakes. So, what else, team? Did I forget anything? Oh, we're going to wind up in Washed Up, D.C. on July 3rd. We're going to meet at Arlington. We started at Arlington West. We're going to meet at Arlington Cemetery. We're hoping in Washed Up, D.C. We're hoping that we're going to have a big convergence of bikers and walkers and whatever else, Segwayers or whatever else, to converge on the White House. And we do have a petition at our website that lists our demands. You know, if you can't make it to D.C., sign our petition because we're going to deliver it. And I'll tell you how we deliver petitions. They don't take them, so we throw them over the fence. So at least you'll be on record in solidarity with our demands. We're not big in petitions, obviously, because we're riding 3,500 miles on our bicycles. We're big on action, but we also realize not everybody is able to join us on this epic journey for peace and justice. So be in solidarity with us. We have a sign-up sheet if you'd like to get our, and a donation thing right there. If you'd like to get our emails that will give you updates about our journeys and our adventures. So we need as much support and solidarity. And we feel it. You know, we feel your love and support and solidarity pushing us along the way. So, did we have anything else, Tom?
We're going to give you an award.
Just 1 second, Tom. I'm sorry. We are, whatever money we have left, we're giving to two charities. We're splitting between two charities. One that does work in Iraq, and one that does work in Afghanistan. Iraqi Help Now, which was started by a Gold Star sister whose brother was killed in Vietnam. And they send medical supplies and equipment to Basra, which was really poisoned by depleted uranium. I mean, the whole country was, but Basra seemed to be hit particularly hard. And then Iraqi youth, Afghan Youth Peace Brigade. So whatever we have left at the end of the tour, we're going to divide between those two charities. So sorry, Tom, here you go. Thank you so much for being here.
And then after that, we'll have Nikki give a report about what she's doing tomorrow. There's Sharon coming up right now. Sharon Kupelt is the former National Vice President of Veterans for Peace. And in 2005, continued with the Veterans for Peace National Convention to speak about going to Crawford, Texas. That's where she began her journey to go to Crawford. Sharon Kupelt introduced her. So we'd like Sharon to introduce, give her the award plaque, please.
Hey, Cindy. On behalf of Veterans for Peace and all of us who stand for peace, who ride for peace, who walk for peace, who pray for peace.
Thank you.